One of the most important pieces of gear in your studio is your MIDI controller. It's the fastest way to get ideas out of your head and into the DAW, and it's always ready to go when inspiration strikes. Now, I've owned a lot of MIDI controllers over the years, a lot of different keyboards. I picked up the Launchpad last month, and I love that. But I was looking for a keyboard controller that was really convenient and portable. I could keep it right in front of me at all times. I'm writing a lot of music for TV and video right now, so I need to be ready to go immediately as soon as inspiration strikes. I have my Axiom 49 by M Audio. That thing's like 15 years old at this point. Over there, and it's a great keyboard, but this sounds silly, but I needed something literally right in front of me. And so I looked around, I shopped around a little bit, and I landed on the Akai MPK Mini. This is like the most popular portable keyboard out there right now. It's only $100, so I picked it up, and it's got a lot of really great features, so I want to go through them one by one and talk a little bit about how cool this little thing is. The MPK Mini Mark II was released in 2014. It was an upgrade to their original MPK Mini compact controller, and they added some upgraded pads and this really cool joystick controller. It is bus powered, so you don't need to plug in an additional power supply, but that's pretty standard right now. But it's nice to just be able to plug in and go no matter where you are, whether you're at home in your studio or out with a laptop. You could be on a plane with this thing. It's a nice setup. So the keyboard itself has 25 keys reaching from C to C 2 octaves above that. So it's got a nice little range here, perfect for any one-handed chord you're going to play, which works for me because I'll be editing with one hand and typing in chords with the other hand, and it's much better than trying to reach over like this to my main keyboard. And most two-handed chords work pretty well on it as well. I mean, you're going to be a little limited by 25 keys, but it's so compact and convenient that makes up for it. The keys are mini keys, so they're smaller than your average piano controller that you're used to. But I found that they're not too small. It's still very comfortable to play. Anything I've recorded in the last 2 weeks, which I think I finished about 4 or 5 songs this week, has been recorded through this thing, and I have yet to turn over to my main keyboard except for one song I had to play a pretty intricate piano part. So obviously this wasn't right for that, but anything else I've played, any synth lines, bass lines, a lot of really cool stuff I was able to play very comfortably on here. And the joystick controller made it a lot more fun. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, what's almost as important as the keys on this are these drum pads. So the MPK is made by Akai, who makes the MPC, the people who basically invented these drum pads. So these are genuine MPC drum pads. They're the best in the business. They feel fantastic. They're fully velocity sensitive and pressure sensitive. So you just have a ton of expressiveness you have access to with these things. I've been playing all my drum parts on them this week, and it feels absolutely fantastic. That's one of my big shortcomings with the Launchpad, is that it's not velocity sensitive. I was actually pretty bummed about that. So these feel great. And while we're just talking about the general build of this thing, I just want to say that this thing is really solid. For a $99 keyboard, I wasn't expecting it to be very well built, to be honest. The keys feel really firm. They have a very nice, springy quality to them. It feels great. And just the build of the body of the thing itself is just really solid. Now, beyond just the keys and the pads, we have a lot of options for MIDI control on here, and that's where this thing really shines. We'll start off with the 8 knobs it has on there, 8 pots. So these are real knobs. They have, a start and a finish. Ableton will know exactly where they are at all times. One of the biggest problems I have with most of the keyboard controllers out there now is they don't use knobs, they use rotary encoders, which, just turn infinitely in one direction. You're never quite sure where you are on them. I really prefer knowing exactly where I'm setting that. That's at 12 o'clock now. So I really appreciate that as a feature on this thing. So those can, of course, be mapped to anything in Ableton or, whatever DAW you're using. And it gets a lot more deeply customizable, which we're going to go into when we get into the MIDI editor, which is just a crazy feature on this thing. So these are very powerful little pots. We also, of course, have this little joystick, which I've never seen something quite like this. I mean, a lot of the Roland keyboards have the joystick pitch thing. And there's all kinds of crazy controllers out there. You know, there's ribbon controllers and the D-beam on the Roland things, which I never really liked. So I've always been a very traditional pitch wheel kind of guy. But this thing is a lot of fun. By default, it comes mapped to pitch bend, left and right. So that's very easy to just flick left and right for pitch bends, and modulation up and down. But you can map those to anything you want in Ableton. And the MIDI editor it comes with lets you map those to different CC messages. If you want to get really deep into the MIDI customization of it, you can have that send out a specific CC message on a specific channel, which is really nice. So that's a really nice little customizable feature. I had a lot of fun mapping it to different parameters in Serum. So I use X for Serum. It's a synthesizer for any of my basses or synths. If I'm doing dubstep or trap, any kind of bass music, I'll use Serum to make my bass sounds. So I had a lot of fun mapping the left-right of the joystick to the wavetable parameter in Serum. And the up-down, I think I had it mapped to bend plus minus. So if you've used Serum, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, I sound crazy, but it allowed for a lot of really cool control over the sound that you don't get when you're just mapping it to one knob or you're handwriting it in Ableton. It was a lot of fun to play with. So one of my favorite features about the MPK is the MIDI editor it comes with. This is a really powerful little piece of software, I'll bring it up now, that just allows you via MIDI USB to just program the heck out of this thing. You can see all the functions you have access to here. So each one of these pads can be used to send either a MIDI note on whatever channel you want to play if you had to trigger some samples or something. It can send a CC message, so if you wanted to control another MIDI device or something in Ableton, you can do it that way. And it can also send program change messages. So if you're working with a lot of like outboard MIDI gear or something, this thing is amazing for controlling that stuff. Another amazing feature of this editor that I honestly didn't expect it to have, but I was very, very pleasantly surprised it did, is the ability to send the drum pad signals on one MIDI channel while the keyboard is on a different channel. And you can specify any of the 16 channels for those. It's really, really nice setup. You can send 4 different MIDI, they call them programs, they're like presets, to the MPK, so you can have 4 completely different setups with this. Each one of those setups can have 2 banks for the drum pads. So I can have 8 samples set up here. I hit the bank switch and I'm hooked up to 8 different samples or 8 different CC messages. It's such a great feature. You can also control the octave or the transposition via the editor. So you can set up a specific transposition for preset number 1, sending on this channel, a different transposition for, if your band plays a weird song in C# and you just want to be transposed for that, you can hit program 2 and set that up to do that way. It's such an awesome feature. You can also program the built-in arpeggiator and note repeat functions through here, and again, assign those to any one of the programs. So there's just endless options for customization here. It's so cool. That's my favorite feature about this thing. Now, just about any controller or interface or any piece of gear you buy nowadays comes with some kind of software you can download. Usually, just some little freebies, some fun samples, or a light version of Ableton or Cubase or something, and that's fantastic. The MPK comes with some really cool stuff. The first thing I was very surprised to see in there was a synth called Hybrid, which is by AIR. AIR used to be DigiDesign, who's now Avid, the guys who make Pro Tools, used to be their in-house plugin development company. So they made every stock Pro Tools plugin, every stock Pro Tools synth, Expand, which is an amazing sample library, and this synth Hybrid, which I had always heard about growing up. It was such a cool, really high-end synthesizer. It was before Massive or Serum or any of the stuff we're using today. So I was really, pleasantly surprised to see that in there because I never got a chance to pick it up. And so I immediately installed it, started playing with it. It sounds fantastic. It's a really, really nice alternative to Massive. It's a wavetable-based synthesizer like Massive, like Serum, but it's just got a nice classic sound to it. It's very easy to get a great sound out of it immediately, and it's got some fantastic presets built in, and it's free. I think it's like $150 to buy that new, so it's a really nice feature to see included in a $99 keyboard. So definitely download that as soon as you pick this up. It's a lot of fun to play with. It also comes with another synthesizer called Wobble, which is what it sounds like. It's a quick and easy dubstep bass. It's kind of cool. It has this cool 2 oscillator, 2 LFO setup. A lot of fun presets to play with. I don't think it's much more than just a toy. It's not going to drag me away from Serum or, you know, any of my contact libraries or anything like that. But it was a fun little toy, and I'll throw it in a session now and then just to see if it gives me any ideas. And again, that's usually $50 new, so it's nice to see it for free in here. It also comes with MPC Essentials, which is Akai's light version of their MPC DAW. That's pretty much a computerized version of, you know, the classic MPC production computer that made, you know, every hip-hop song in the 90s, and so it's cool to see that included as well. Again, I'm pretty dead set with Ableton and Pro Tools here, so I didn't really dive too deep into MPC Essentials. There are a lot of videos out there showing you how to use that, so if you're interested in checking it out, feel free to watch those. Yeah, so in short, this is a really, really great keyboard, especially at its price point. I think it's the best option in that, you know, $100 price range. At no point in the last couple weeks did I feel at all limited by, you know, the playability of it or any of the features. I mean, the features are just outstanding on this thing. I think it's the best option if you're looking for a budget, especially portable budget keyboard. If you want to take it on the road with you traveling, or if you're using it, you know, just in your studio like I am. If you just want something easy you can keep on your desk in front of you that's not going to take up, you know, what little free space we have left here. It's just the best option out there, I think.